Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my May 2019 horoscope report for you, where I will give you the need-to-knows for your sign, plus talk about the general transits that no doubt will be affecting you. I'll let you know the places where the stars are in beautiful harmony and the possibilities that are open from those connections, as well as the places where the stars are in conflict and the challenges that could come from those connections. And resources, ideas, tips on how to use that energy and understand the energy to create alchemy in your life and have the most graceful and productive month possible. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, where I have lots of resources for you on your journey, including a very extensive astrology blog. You can see my new moon and full moon blogs that can help you make the most of those portals of energy that open every couple of weeks. You can sign up for a live reading at my site, and you can also sign up for my astrology apprenticeship program if you resonate with how I teach astrology and you would love to learn. Check out my new book, Radical Prayer, Transform Your Life and the World in 28 Days, which is an Amazon bestseller. You can see that on Amazon or at radicalprayerbook.com. So let's see what the stars have for you this month. Hello Virgo friends, happy May 2019. I'm very excited to share with you the things that I see as need-to-knows for you this month. This month's profile is very similar to the things that we talked about last month. So you will notice some themes that I discussed that are coming up still this month, and that has to do with the crowding of the 7th and 8th houses. And usually this focus comes a couple of months at a time because we're talking about two houses or fields of experience that are getting accentuated. So each month, one of the things that tends to change is the sector of our lives that is being accentuated by the personal planets, which move really quickly. But when you have two areas like the 7th and 8th houses that are both relationship houses, they have some very similar expressions. So when the planets start to crowd into the 7th house and relationships become front and center in a certain month, then the next month, those planets move along to the 8th house, and then the other ones move up to the 7th house. So you've got a couple of months at a time, and this happens around the same time every year, this April-May time when your relationship houses get super crowded. Okay, so if you hear me talk about some similar things, it is still the May report, but they just are relevant still. So what happens when the planets crowd in the 7th and 8th house is that we have a lot of different personalities in the form of the planets having a party in our relationship sector. So I always think about the houses, which are the fields of experience we have as humans, and then the planets, which are personalities, they're people, moving through those areas of our lives. So it's like a very eclectic party where just a ton of different weird combinations of spirits are moving through a sector. Okay, so we've got long-term placements like those people that hang out at your house all the time, and then we've got the short-term people, the people that kind of come for the party and then they go. So mixed in with that, we've got the sun bringing highlight and focus. So this has to do with seeing relationship issues more clearly so that you can solve them. When there's a spotlight on something, you can see something more clearly, like a bright light in a dark room. You can see the cracks in the wall, you can see the spider webs, but you can also see the colors, the gentle colors of the, being accentuated by the light and details and pictures and things like that. So you're having a continuation of your relationship sector, all types of relationships, co-workers, clients, friends, acquaintances, kids, other family members, people who you work with in any capacity, people who you go to yoga with, just anybody and everybody. But there is a very strong focus in the 8th house at this point for most of the placements. And some of you have some 7th house lingering. The difference between the 7th and the 8th house is the 7th house has to do with just the relationship, you and somebody else. Then the 8th house is where your resources and their resources get merged in a bigger way. So they're deeper relationships, more profound relationships, and a deeper level of relationship with people. So this 8th house also has to do with money and resources. We talked about this last time. So if you need something from somebody, you need money or you need a connection or something like that, there's a lot of energy this month around the right connection, somebody popping in as a new contact, or somebody from the past being like, oh, hey, I can help you with that. Or you think of them suddenly and think, wow, I wonder if that person could help me with this. And it could work out. So this is very exciting. The other house that's getting very well aspected, and for different reasons for the different placements, but it's true for all early, middle, and late, has to do with the ninth house. And the ninth house is the house of teaching and speaking and traveling, long distance, and could also be short distance. Has to do with so writing, publishing, speaking, anything where you're out in front of people, religion or spirituality, expanding horizons, just in general, expanding your horizons, seeing things from a different point of view, seeing things from a more, let's say kind of like on the top of a mountain where you're looking down and you see the bigger picture, seeing the connectedness of all things. And also this is a hopeful house, you know, it's the house of Sagittarius. So in general, all of the Virgos that I know, unless they have trained themselves to do otherwise, they tend to worry about things. And that's because their capacity to really see the details and really see the mundane expression of things. So it's a gift in many ways, but sometimes it results in worrying. So as the planets move into the ninth house, this can bring like an optimism or a hope or, you know, a way of looking at things that is less hyper-focused and more general. I always recommend this meditation, like if you start to get whacked out about all the details of things that have to be done, if you just kind of take a deep breath, imagine yourself on a mountain, then imagine yourself floating up on a cloud, and then imagine yourself like up on a different planet or somewhere in the atmosphere where you're looking down at the earth and your problems and everything else. You know, it's a way of bringing the bigger picture back into focus. So whatever ways you can do that will be wonderful for you, because when you get into this different area of focus, sometimes you see a solution that wasn't as readily apparent. I always think of the Einstein quote, and I don't even know if he really said this or not, but it makes sense that he would. You can't solve problems from the same viewpoint or way of looking at things that they were created. So, you know, this stepping out of the situation, having a bigger picture, can really bring a lot of hope and solutions at this time. You early, middle, and very soon coming for you late, like right at the beginning of the month, you late degree people will start to join the party. We talked about this for last month too, is the energy of Mars in the 10th house. So this started last month, and early and middle degree people, you really had this embodied. Now in May, the late degree people, you're having Mars join your work, career, accentuation party. But you early and middle degree people, you still do have some time where Mars is going to be accentuating that. So this is going to continue. So wherever Mars is, I always call it the border collie of the zodiac. It's like you're hot on this, you know, you're super focused on it. Or there are conflicts, or there are opportunities, or something is right in your face. You know, it's busy, it can be aggressive, it can be assertive, it can be just kind of like relentless. So having a lot of passion for your work and your place out in the world and recognition is very likely at this time. And so also fruits from those labors or from previous labors could come in, but definitely work focus is coming up in a big way. We talked about how Jupiter has been accentuating your house of home and family. And again, this is something that is a longer term transit. So what we talked about last month is still current now and is still going to be current for months to come, because Jupiter is in one place for a while. So early and middle and now late degree placements have had Jupiter expanding the energy of home and family. Late degree placements, you've had sort of some brushes with the fourth house expansion, but as Jupiter goes more in retrograde, that's going to be going out of the front and center picture to focus more in the third house, and then later in the year we'll come back and pick back up with this fourth house expansion. But in some way it's relevant for all early, middle, and late degree placements, which is expansion of home and family. This is also an inner psyche house, so the childhood psychology that rules how we experience present experiences. Because if you look at your life and your relationships, you'll say, oh, I married my mother, or I married my father, or I feel like this thing is happening, but I've been feeling like this since I was a kid. Like the way that we were imprinted as children, as it affects us as adults, is a fourth house focus. So Jupiter in this way can really expand your childhood psychology and your attention to healing patterns. I'm also calling the energy of this month as strongly karmic blasting, and that's coming from planetary movement through the 8th house. That's coming from, you know, the planet of Uranus just jostling in that relationship sector for all of you, except the early degree placements, you're kind of having it move into this sector of looking at things in a different way, like radical new viewpoints. But for all early, middle, and late degree placements, for one reason or another, the energy of karma blasting is coming up in a huge way. And I know that some of you guys are smiling about this because you're like, oh gosh, tell me about it. You know, I've been feeling that karma blasting going on. So that story is definitely going on. And there are many different tools you can use to blast karma, but your awareness and your focus on it, not just the experience of it, is the learning of the lessons that you're going through that really blast the karma. Because if you don't learn the lessons, then it's just hovering around in your field to come back by another transit, by way of another transit, until you get it. You know, so anything that you can do, and of course I always have a million suggestions about books, The Presence Process, Past Life Regression, Hypnosis, the Ho'oponopono, which is an ancient Hawaiian, even Samoan prayer. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I think I reversed those. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. You know, this prayer, very karma blasting. So anything that you can do that focuses on blasting karma or learning lessons, even a Bach flower remedy called chestnut bud is specifically matched with the energy of learning a lesson so that you don't have to keep repeating it. So that could be relevant for you. Okay, so those are the things that are most on my mind for Virgo, but I do want to pop the charts in just really quick so that you can get a visual on these things that I described. And then after that, I'll come back on the screen and I will talk about the general transits and the need to knows that will definitely be relevant for you. Okay, so let's check the charts out now. Okay, so to figure out if you're an early, middle, or late degree Virgo placement, basically the August born or 0 to 9 degrees are early. Middle degree is September 1st through 10th or degrees of 10 through 19. Late degree Virgos around September 11th through the rest of the sign or 20 to 29 degrees. These exact dates change depending on what day the sun went into your sign in the year you were born. So this could stagger by a couple of days, but these general parameters are close enough for you to use this information. Okay, so I just want to show you this crowding. Okay, so you see 8th house crowding for late degree placements. Late degree placements also have some 7th house crowding that we talked about. Middle degree placements, 7th and 8th house crowding. And early degree placements, you have most things have moved on from the 7th house, but you still have that 8th house crowding. So that's relationships with resources. All right, the 9th house crowded for early. We talked about that, you know, different, your horizons, teaching, learning, things like that, spiritual pursuits. So the middle degree placements, it doesn't look like this 9th house is crowded, but it is going to be crowded throughout this month because these planets are in motion and these were done at the beginning of May. So all of these are in the process of moving here. And depending, if you look at this later in the month, a lot of these planets will have moved on to here. So that is going to be very relevant. The late degree placements, you still have Mars there. And then the same as we talked about for the middle, these planets are going to start moving into the 9th house. And that 9th house focus is going to last a little longer for you late degree placements because it took a little bit longer to get going for you because of the staggered placements. Okay, so we talked about Jupiter in the 4th house, expanding home, family, real estate projects, home, work from home projects. Inner psychology sometimes actually expands your family, like you get married or you have a kid or you buy a bigger house or you downsize and you have a smaller mortgage so you feel more freedom in your home, freedom in the home, and freedom within the family is one of the main themes that I see coming up, but sometimes it has to amplify trouble in order to get that freedom. All right, so you late degree placements, you can see how Jupiter is kind of here. It is still influencing there, but you do have a while longer of the 3rd house focus, which has to do with communication, your communication style, devices, transportation, your cars, expanding your level of communication and transportation, upgrading, things like this. And this could be a great month for upgrading, and this is for all of you. I like mid-month if you have to buy a car or device, and I'll give you more details in the general transits about the specific dates, but basically mid-month. The 3rd house I've also seen people's communication with things that are not in this dimension, or an awareness of the things that are lesser seen. As scientists make discoveries about things, they're making discoveries about things that were there all the time, just away from our already apparent vision of them. So this third house in the more metaphysical realm, I've seen it represent communication with, the wind, the elements, the animals, the plants, the angels, things like that. So late degree Virgos, you still have a lot more energy around expanding this sector for you all. And also stuff with siblings and aunts, uncles, and cousins and things like that. Okay, so those are the things most on my mind for Virgo placements. Now let's look at some more need to knows for the general transits, and I'll give you important dates to focus on and some other things to know. So I'm calling the theme of May 2019 for all signs, conquer the obstacles and gain the rewards, because this month we've got all kinds of obstacles, but there's actually more sweet energy than there are challenging energies. And there are going to be things to get through, but you have a lot on your side for getting past them with flying colors. The factors that flip the switch towards action in April are still at play very much this month in May. So we have the first month in a long time without having a personal planet retrograde, either shadow period or the actual retrograde, as part of the equation. So in April, even though Mercury was not retrograde, the whole first half of April, the post-shadow period from Mercury was still in effect. Now here in May, we don't have Mercury, Venus, Mars, the personal planets at all retrograde, nor do we have any of their shadow periods for the transit. So we don't have that to impede progress. At the same time, there are multiple placements in very grounded Taurus, and Jupiter is still retrograde, and Saturn is now going retrograde, and all of these factors can serve to balance ambitions, adding more of a streamlined approach. So you'll hear me talking about this theme for a while, because there are multiple factors in the stars that are really telling us to get super efficient with our energy. So you'll have more opportunities this month to really get stuff done, but at the same time, there are challenges to overcome, and there is this sort of reevaluation of the things that you've brought out and checking in and strengthening to see what you need for future expansion. There are many great aspects in Gemini, or with Mercury, which rules Gemini this month. So that's going to bring lots of communication, lots of movement, lots of busyness, brilliant social opportunities. We'll have advancement of writing and other creative projects, anything having to do with travel, upgrading communication devices and modes of transportation. All of those things are in the Mercury Gemini domain. So expect a lot of focus in those areas of life. And there are a lot of beautiful aspects that can help boost those efforts. At the same time, there are also a number of clashes with the energy. I'd say more good effects than challenging ones, but we still have to look out for them, and you still will have to overcome them. So there could be some mini slowdowns or drama that come from those challenges. As with April, in May, there's also a hurriedness that goes along with a lot of these energies, and that is could lend itself to unnecessary injuries or accidents, or wasting time, or just not paying attention to things that can come from that distractedness. So definitely be extra aware and breathe and try to stay centered as you move your body and as you're communicating and as you're carrying through all of these things that want to come through this month. So Jupiter is still in retrograde, and this is one of the factors I referred to earlier. It's asking us to pull in a little bit and to carefully evaluate these next steps. So we want to conserve energy while making the most impact. And Jupiter was on an expansion spree for a while, and things are getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then as it's been in retrograde, now it's a time to shore up the foundation for the future expansion. So the theme of creating systems that fix situations where you were spread too thin is going to continue this month. And also, as with April, the energy of fewer brilliantly placed efforts rather than a whole bunch of haphazard efforts the best that you can. Now, it's not going to be super easy to do that in some ways because we do have a lot of energy in Aries. We do have a lot of energy in Gemini, besides that grounded Taurus, which does kind of the glue that helps it all hold together. But it will be busy, it will be scattered, and there will be a lot going on. In general, there are a ton of awesome transits this month. And like I said, more sweet days than challenging ones, but for the beginning of the month and the end of the month, especially, like everything away from just like the exact middle of the month pretty much, every time there's a sweet aspect, there's a super challenging one, and a lot of times the same exact day, and it's just kind of crazy. So that means that there will be obstacles to get through to gain the rewards, which is why I call the theme of the month that, you know, expect some challenges. It's not going to be like you just walk up to the gates of the place that you're trying to go and you just walk in, you know. It always reminds me of Paperboy, that game Paperboy, when like the guy's just trying to deliver his newspapers and there's like crazy people and dogs and stuff just like trying to get in his way, right? That's what life feels like sometimes. But you can maneuver around it and get the papers delivered this month for sure. But it's going to take work to get to your goals and consistency. So there's a beautiful flow of sweet transits between May 11th and May 18th. There are some challenging ones around the 11th and there are some challenging ones around the 18th, but all the time in between there, like right in the mid-month, is just sweet aspects, so many sweet aspects every day. So if you have to do something important and you need to have oomph without antagonism, your best time of the month to launch and try to push things through is the middle of the month, because that will be where you don't have this contradictory force at every moment like there is for the rest of the month. Okay, so if you want more details about what aspects are happening on what days and what can go along with that, definitely sign up for my free email newsletter, AnnieHelpsYou.com. And when you sign up for my free email newsletter, you also get, as a wonderful free gift, my entire 28-day virtual coaching package for free. So that will keep you on the list where you'll get these monthly write-ups a month ahead, where I give you the details and the overview of the month so you can see the days that have challenges and what you're working with there and the ones that are sweets if you're trying to plan ahead of time, as many people are. I'm going to hit just a couple of highlights, and then you can see the rest of the details at AnnieHelpsYou.com when you sign up for my free newsletter. Okay, so in the beginning of the month, the first couple of days, we've got sweet aspects and challenging ones just right next to each other. We've got the new moon on May 4th. That's the new moon in Taurus, so definitely make your new moon wishes, and you can see my blog about that for more details. If you just search for Making Powerful New Moon in Taurus Wishes, Annie, you will find it. But this has a beautiful aspect with Neptune on that day, so I expect some sweetness there sandwiched in between some of the challenges. Look out for overexertion and overcommitment in those days, like right there at the end of the week. Definitely take full advantage of those days between May 11th and May 18th for anything important, big steps, commitments, signing paperwork, you know, launching things. They're just like so many beautiful things. I also love travel at that time. And really this whole month is amazing for travel. You just have to be really careful as you're doing it, and aware. Careful and awareful is what I say. Okay, let's see. There was one other thing I wanted to point out here. The full moon on May 18th. The full moon is at 27 degrees of Scorpio, and that also has a conjunction with Venus and Uranus. So this is really important. So let's just take this piece by piece. We've had multiple months in a row where we've had full moons that are centered around relationships, okay? Because we had 2 Libra full moons in a row, and now we have a Scorpio full moon. And the Libra and Scorpio are these relationship houses. So there may be some major drama at this time, or there could be wonderful breakthroughs within relationships or of any kind, or things coming to be revealed that were hidden before, or just sweet moments, you know, a culmination of something sweet within a relationship. Of any kind. So fullness, drama, completion, breakthroughs, things like that in the areas of Scorpio. But the wild card here is this energy of Venus and Venus and Uranus, because whenever Uranus is involved, it's like things out of the blue, surprises, jostling, and it could be better for better or worse, you know? So Venus rules love and money and self-esteem. So Uranus coming in here often can mean like conflict or fight or something surprise within a relationship that is a challenge. But sometimes it's like a marriage, proposal or something that comes out of the blue, and that's a culmination of this, relationship energy. So it could really be something sweet like that, but we just never know when Uranus is involved. So expect intensity. I always, we all have to live our lives and we have to work and do what we have to do, but if you can leave the full moon a little bit open so that if some challenges come up and you can be present for them, then you might be grateful for that. So, so try to be well rested. That's the other thing that I recommend when Uranus is involved, because if something comes out of the blue and you have to deal with it, at least if you're well rested and calm going into it, it will be easier for you to handle it in the most graceful way. In general, since the energy of Venus and Uranus are both in Taurus, this is, earth energy. This is like ground-breaking, ground-shaking energy. And sometimes it can be quite literally. Uranus in Taurus has already been very much associated with the waking up of the volcanoes over the last year. And, the other earth changes that come from that, and earth effects that come from that, wild weather and things like that, that are related to the earth and the atmosphere. So, just kind of be aware at those times that there's more energy and more power, and just follow your intuition as far as where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing. Okay. So those are the things that are most on my mind for this month. Definitely go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, sign up for my free email newsletter, get my Shine 28-day virtual coaching program for free, get these written version of these general reports in your inbox a month early. You can sign up for a live reading there. You can see more about my vocational courses that I have, including my astrology apprenticeship program, where I can teach you how to use astrology for your personal or professional purposes. And I have lots of other things on my website, like subliminal audios that help you to train your brain in the direction of things that you want. So you can see all that at AnnieHelpsYou.com. Definitely check out my book, Radical Prayer, Transform Your Life in the World in 28 Days. If you are interested if you're a spiritual seeker and you want to align your energies with that of the divine and have the most easy, graceful life possible, this is your little friend. I made it in a nice portable size. It's a beautiful book on the inside and out for you to take with you and use the power of affirmation and prayer to transform your life and the world in positive ways. So you can see that at radicalprayerbook.com. It's an Amazon bestseller. You can go to my husband's website, iamhelios.com, iamhelios.com. He's got all kinds of goodies there. He does astrology readings and tarot readings. And if you'd like written horoscopes by me, plus other lifestyle blogs for natural living, you can go to cozybysweetstarlight.com and see my written horoscopes for you for each sign a month early each month. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.